The real 19th century prophet was Dostoevsky, not Karl Marx. But what does it mean, the plague? It is life, that is all. We are going forward, but nothing changes. Great ideas come into the world as gently as doves. Always go too far, because that is where you find the truth. No matter how the sun shone, the sea held forth no more promises. Travel, which is like a greater and a graver science, brings us back to ourselves. Those who write clearly have readers. Those who write obscurely have commentators. I have seen enough of people who die for an idea. I don't believe in heroism. I know it is easy, and I have learned it can be murderous. What interests me is living and dying for what one loves. Truth and freedom, having few lovers, are demanding mistresses. To create today is to create dangerously. Any publication is an act, and that act exposes one to the passions of an age that forgives nothing. Here lives a free man. Nobody serves him. I have a good, hearty laugh and an energetic handshake, and those are trump cards. Men and women consume one another rapidly in what is called the act of love or else settle down to a mild habit of conjugality. We seldom find a mean between these two extremes. Fiction is the lie through which we tell the truth. A writer cannot put himself today in service of those who make history. He is at the service of those who suffer it. Finally, and most of all, words failed him. The only conception of freedom I can have is that of the prisoner or the individual in the midst of the state. The only one I know is freedom of thought and action. There are more things to admire in men than to despise. Mother died today, or maybe yesterday, I cannot be sure. It is necessary to fall in love, the better to provide an alibi for all the despair we are going to feel anyway. I hope the dogs don't bark tonight. I always think it is mine. In order to understand the world, one has to turn away from it on occasion. Truth is mysterious, elusive, always to be conquered. Liberty is dangerous, as hard to live with as it is elating. We must march toward these two goals, painfully but resolutely, certain in advance of our failings on so long a road. I have always thought it would be easier to redeem a man steeped in vice and crime than a greedy, narrow-minded, pitiless merchant. Freedom is not constituted primarily of privileges, but of responsibilities. To create is to live twice. Only it takes time to be happy, a lot of time. Happiness, too, is a long patience. After all, perhaps the greatness of art lies in the perpetual tension between beauty and pain, the love of men and the madness of creation, unbearable solitude and the exhausting crowd, rejection and consent. Whatever prevents you from doing your work has become your work. I realized then that a man who had lived only one day could easily live for 100 years in prison. He would have enough memories to keep him from being bored. To be happy, we must not be too concerned with others. For if there is a sin against life, it consists perhaps not so much in despairing of life as in hoping for another life, and in eluding the implacable grandeur of this life. Outside of that single fatality of death, everything, joy or happiness, is liberty. Humans are creatures who spent their lives trying to convince themselves that their existence is not absurd. It is natural to give a clear view of the world after accepting the idea that it must be clear. Art, at least, teaches us that man cannot be explained by history alone, and that he also finds a reason for his existence in the order of nature. Happiness and the absurd are two sons of the same earth. They are inseparable. I would like to be able to breathe, to be able to love her by memory or fidelity, but my heart aches. I love you continuously, intensely. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. It is the job of thinking people not to be on the side of the executioners. Yes, everything is simple. It is people who complicate things. I should like to be able to love my country and still love justice. The myth of unlimited production brings war in its train as inevitably as clouds announce a storm. I am too far away from what I love, and my distance is without remedy. It is a well-known fact that we always recognize our homeland when we are about to lose it. The need to be right is the sign of a vulgar mind. The welfare of humanity is always the alibi of tyrants. I had the whole sky in my eyes, and it was blue and gold. Real generosity toward the future lies in giving all to the present. The innocent is the person who explains nothing. Madness such as this, it's like trying to stop a fire with the moisture from a kiss. No one who lives in the sunlight of gratitude that things are not worse makes a failure of his or her life. Life is meaningless, but worth living, provided you recognize it is meaningless. There always comes a time when one must choose between contemplation and action. This is called becoming a man. There is no love of life without despair of life. And then came human beings. Humans wanted to cling, but there was nothing to cling to. Absolute virtue is impossible, and the Republic of Forgiveness leads, with implacable logic, to the Republic of the Guillotine. In Oran, as elsewhere, for want of time and thought, people have to love one another without knowing it. A man wants to earn money in order to be happy, and his whole effort and the best of a life are devoted to the earning of that money. Happiness is forgotten, the means are taken for the end. No, Father, I have a very different idea of love, and until my dying day I shall refuse to love a scheme of things in which children are put to torture. Capital punishment is the most premeditated of murders. The modern mind is in complete disarray. Knowledge has stretched itself to the point where neither the world nor our intelligence can find any foothold. It is a fact that we are suffering from nihilism.